Hello, welcome to the first video of my YouTube channel. Today, I'm going to be showing you how to run your own private AI server within your home network and run your own large language models locally. So most people nowadays use AI tools like ChatGPT or Claude, but there is usually one big trade-off. Your prompts and data are usually sent to someone else's servers. But what if you could run your AI model entirely on your own computer at your own house with no internet connection after getting it set up and no data leaving your machine? So that's kind of the appeal of running local LLMs. First, privacy. When you use cloud AI tools, your prompts may be logged or stored by the provider. When you run models locally, everything stays on your computer and on your network. Second, like I alluded to earlier, offline access. After the initial setup and download, you can use these large language models completely without an internet connection. Third, control. You can choose exactly which models you want to run, and there's no API cost, so you can integrate it with different IDEs or even different local applications you have running in your home. So in this video, I'll be going over how to set all of this up on a Mac. This can be any Mac you have with a M1, M2, M3, M4, or M5 chip. As long as it has 16 gigabytes of unified memory or higher, should be good. Obviously, the more RAM you have, the better in this case. You can also use this guide to follow along for Windows and Linux systems, but there's going to be nuances that differ here. So on those types of systems, you're going to need a lot of video memory, so you have to just keep that in mind. So the first thing you want to do is head on over to lmstudio.ai to get LM Studio. LM Studio is going to be the application that I prefer to use to run my models locally. The other popular application to run LLMs locally is Ollama. You can totally use that, but for the purposes of this guide, we're going to be using LM Studio. I find the user interface to be more friendly to beginners, and it's just easier to configure in my opinion. So go ahead, download the app, install it, and then once you get it going, you'll see this user interface. You may or may not have a predefined model already downloaded on the system as part of the install based on your specifications. But if you don't, that's fine. All you got to do is come over here on the left-hand side, hit model search. Now, the default list of models available here are from staff picks that the LM Studio team has gone through and kind of recommended. And by default, it will show you things that you can run on your system. So in this case, on this particular recording, I'm on a 2021 M1 Pro MacBook Pro with 16 gigabytes of unified memory. So it'll only show me things that I can for sure run on this hardware. However, if you want to see all the models, you can just uncheck this and everything will show up. As you can see here, some models says likely too large. That means it probably won't run on this device. Now, where this list is coming from is Hugging Face. Hugging Face is a repository for open LLM models. If you don't see anything here, you can just search the model by name. This will go query Hugging Face and show you the model that you're searching for. Once you found something you like or something you want to try out, just go ahead and hit the download button. I recommend you just go with the default, but you can go to the other quantizations if you would like, if your system can handle those. Before you get started, I also recommend you go to the app settings here on the bottom left. Just go through the settings, make sure you have it customized to your preference. There's nothing really important here other than in the runtime section. You want to make sure for Apple Silicon chips, that's for M1, M2, M3, M4, and M5, you have the latest version of the LM Studio MLX runtime installed, the Metal Llama CPP, and the Harmony Mac runtime. If you are on a Windows or Linux machine, this will differ for you. Over here in the hardware section, kind of gives you an overview of the hardware that you currently have. You want to make sure the GPU is set to on. It will be whatever GPU you have with your specific Apple Silicon Mac. And I recommend you tune or change the model loading guardrails to relax. This is more of just a hardware guardrail that would prevent your system from crashing if you attempt to open a model that is significantly larger than the amount of VRAM available. So as you can see here, I went ahead and downloaded a small model made by Google called Gemma 3N. And once I downloaded it, it will show up here on the top where it says select a model to load. So as you can see, I have currently loaded the model. So I'm just going to select it. The first time you do this, it's going to take a while to bring it into memory, and then you can start chatting with it. So just start a chat, make sure that the model is still selected, and you can type, well, whatever you want. So say, hello, tell me what you are capable of, enter. So you can see GPU of the system gets fully utilized and the LLM is working, giving us an answer. Now, this is great if you want to just play around with LLMs or use them on your local machine. But what if you have another system, another Windows, Mac, or Linux system that you would like to use models on, and you don't want to go through the hassle of setting all this up? Well, there's a couple ways to go about that. I'm going to show you how to do that in this video. So the easiest and simplest way to set up this LM Studio instance as a server is to use the new feature that just came out in LM Studio called LM Link. You can install LM Studio on a different device and then sign into your LM Studio account, set up LM Link, and it will set up an end-to-end encrypted connection between this LM Studio you have in your local machine and the other LM Studio instance you have on the other machine in your local network. So as you can see here, I have LM Link set up between this system and another system on my network that's a much more capable system. It's a Mac Studio with an M4 Max with 120 gigabytes of unified memory. This is capable of running much larger models, and I can use the models I have on that system in this instance of LM Studio. So if I come here and I want to open a new chat, if I go to the model load section, you can see this little symbol on these models outside of the Gemma 3N model, which is local to this machine. If you hover over it, it tells you this model is hosted on the other system you have via LM Link. Now you can interact with these just like you're sitting in front of that machine with its LM Studio open. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and open up or load GPT OSS 120 build. This is a model that requires at least 60 to 64 gigabytes of video memory that I cannot natively run on this machine that I'm recording on. But because it's set up with LM Link on the other Mac, just go ahead and hit it. Don't worry about these settings. These are some of the LLM settings you can tweak. I've gone ahead and tweaked it, but you can use the defaults. Just hit load model. Right now, what it's doing is it's connecting to the other Mac I have set up, and it just loaded the model. So you can see it did not affect the RAM usage of this system because it is not loaded on this system. And you can just use it, chat with it, interact with it like you would here. So it's like, hello, write me a poem about DNS. And it will go ahead and it will run on that system and give you the output just like that. Now this is great if you want to use a model on a different system, but this requires you to have LM Studio also installed on the client device. There might be scenarios where you want to interact with your local LLMs through a phone or a tablet or a device that can't install LM Studio. So I'll show you how to do that using WebUI. So WebUI is a web server designed specifically to run LLM models on a system that can be accessed by other systems in your local network. Now, security disclaimer, you should only run this on a system in your home network that is properly firewalled off of the internet. If you run a web server directly exposed to the internet with no security measures preventing, various cyber attacks, you're asking for trouble. So again, make sure you only run this on a system that's properly firewalled within your home network. Very important disclaimer. Okay, so what you want to do here is go ahead and hit Get Open WebUI. This will take you to their GitHub. If you scroll down enough, you will find a link to the doc page, which would be here. And then you want to go ahead and go to the quick start section and follow this guide. So I recommend you use Docker to deploy this web server. I have Docker Desktop installed, and we're just going to go through this. So step one, pull the Open WebUI image. We are just go ahead and going to copy this, open up Docker Desktop, terminal is up. I'm just going to paste that command, hit enter, and it is going to pull the files required. Okay, once you have downloaded all of that, you want to go ahead and run the command to run the container with the default settings. So just go ahead and copy this command from Docker Desktop, paste it in here, enter. There you go. Now it's running. Just give it a couple seconds here, and then we can access it via localhost port 3000. So once everything has been set up and is running, you should be able to access the web server by just typing in localhost or 127.0.0.1, 3000 to get to this page. The very first time you do this, you're going to be asked to set up an admin account. So go ahead and do that. After you have your admin account set up, go ahead and log in. So before you go to open WebUI to connect the web server to LM Studio, what you want to do is in LM Studio, go to the developer section, make sure the server status is toggled on, status running. You want to hit the server settings and make sure that serve on local network is enabled. Now, again, please be aware, you should only do this on a system that is within your home network, properly firewalled off the internet. If you do this with a system that is directly exposed to the internet, you will have problems. So please make sure this is on a properly firewalled system. So once you have serve on local network enabled, you want to take a note of this right here of reachable at. This is going to be the information that we have to give to Open WebUI to connect the front end WebUI service to the backend LM Studio service that has all the models configured and running. So make sure you just copy this and then go to Open WebUI's admin panel, then in the settings, then connections, or you can just follow this exact link of localhost 3000/admin/settings/connections. And you either want to add or edit the OpenAI API that has already been pre-filled, or if not, go ahead and just hit add. So go ahead and hit configure, paste in the value we had from Open or LM Studio. Make sure you add the /v1 at the end, connection type local. You don't need to hit anything else, just hit save. Then once you do that, if you go to new chat, all the models you have on your system should match up with what you see here in Open WebUI. Now, Open WebUI, you can configure different user accounts, you can limit model usage. There's a lot of settings you can configure in Open WebUI that I'm not going to go over in the purposes for this video. It's just to show you how to get it set up and running. Now that it's running, I can show you how it looks like on a system that is on the same network, but not directly the same system. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my other Mac, and I'm just going to go to http://10.0.0.10:3000. Remember, :1234 is for server usage, but the actual Open WebUI instance runs on :3000. Okay, so I'm back on my MacBook, and I have now accessed Open WebUI running on port 3000 on the IP of the system in the web browser of a different machine. And I can just use this as any other web server. So I can just, I'll go with the suggested question here. Tell me a fun fact about the Roman Empire. And it is being sent to the LLM on the other Mac. And as you can see, everything works. And I'm just using this as a client. And this very much feels like, using ChatGPT or Claude, except it is all running locally in your own home's network, fully private and fully offline. So yeah, there we have it. So make sure to comment, subscribe, like the video. This is the first video of the channel. There's going to be more videos coming out covering various AI topics and cybersecurity.